Hi, everyone, and welcome to Conversations with Carol, the podcast where I have conversations with people that I love. Today, we are talking with one of my best friends, Emily Overton. Emily is a college student here at Georgia College with me, and she's been through a lot in her life, some of which you will hear about in this episode and some of which you will not. These events have shaped her into a very strong person with a beautiful mind and a kind soul. I think Emily holds a very nuanced and unique perspective that people need to hear today. And I hope you enjoy our conversation. So, hi everyone. This is my guest, Emily Overton. She has been one of my best friends for 4 years and my roommate for 3 years. And yeah, so welcome to the podcast, Emily. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you for having me. I can't believe I've known you for this long and you haven't murdered me yet, because I do be the most annoying roommate possible. But I'm happy to be here and it's great. I'm looking forward to answering all the questions.
Yeah, and here's a fun fact about Emily, by the way. She's definitely cursed. We also like to play conspiracy pranks against each other, like the little figurines we have for Halloween moving. We're an interesting duo, and I think, we've definitely grown very close to one another, and it's been very interesting. So let's take it back to the beginning.
Ooh.
When we met at a mall, I think, right?
Yep, the Mall of Georgia.
Yeah, Mall of Georgia. And we met on a group meet where we bonded over the Golden Girls, of all things, which is iconic, a moment for sure. So here's something that could be kind of drama, but also I think can be fun. What was your first impression of me?
Oh my god. Okay, so the first impression I had of you, I saw you on the group chat and I was looking at all the people. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so scared. It's new people from the new school. I'm not ready to make friends. And then I remember us reaching out to each other and the conversation just flowed so well. I'm like, she is so approachable and she's really cool. I thought your picture was awesome.
Aww.
I was like, she's edgy. I like it.
Thank you. You're so sweet. And kind of along with that, what's your favorite memory with me?
I have to pick just one.
You can pick a couple. Why not?
Okay, probably. Okay, freshman year, spring break, when we went to the beach house in Florida, and we had a lot of fun at night because it was just us two, and it was the week that COVID was starting, and we were freaking out over what we were going to do when we got back to the real world. And I remember us making a joke about this giant inflatable Corona bottle that was on top of this building, and we're like, haha, it's Corona time. And little did we know, within the next 3 days the world would shut down.
Yeah, and then they subsequently very quickly removed the inflatable Corona bottle.
Oh yes. So I like to say I cursed us. Sorry about that, y'all.
Love that. You catfished me into thinking you weren't cursed. But granted, I didn't think to ask that when we started getting to know one another. So.
And you chose to live with me again, so that's on you.
Then it's on me the second time. I'll admit that for sure. So it's funny because everyone that meets us thinks we were friends from high school and that we've known each other forever, which we didn't because we literally met on a group chat. And then, so let's see, what was life pre-Carol like? PC? Your childhood, earliest memories, all that kind of fun stuff.
Well, for one, I never really got out of my comfort zone until college. So high school Emily was we love her. She's
very different than current Emily.
We love high school Emily. She was 4.0, straight A student, did all the extracurriculars, never made a mistake, scared of everything, just wanted to please her parents, her friends, and herself. Well, then we go to college. And I learned, hey, maybe it's not the best idea to live your life according to other people's opinions. And you helped me realize that, actually. And, now, of course, I'm not a straight A student. I'm not blaming that on you.
It's totally my fault, guys.
But I definitely put less pressure on myself, which is such a relief because, I ended up going to counseling, therapy, got on medication for anxiety. And it's just been a 180.
Wow.
It's really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. So, growing up, what did you see your future look like? And, if you can see yourself in 5 years, what do you think it would look like more so now, kind of based off of how you've grown and changed?
Well, based on 4-year-old Emily, she wanted to grow up to be a Polly Pocket. So, obviously that has not happened, unfortunately. Then we go to 10-year-old Emily, and now she has realistic dreams and goals. She wanted to be a marine biologist. And that dream took me until like a freshman in high school, and I loved it. But I realized it's probably not the best idea for me when I saw like animals getting hurt, because I wanted to be like a rescuer for them. And I also had a very big phobia of sharks, which I feel like is kind of a setback when you're a marine biologist.
A little ironic for sure.
Right? So then I was like, what's something that I can't get eaten by a shark while doing, and I don't have to worry about any medical things? Oh, therapy. I go to that. That's so cool. I could do that for other people. And I was like, I'm pretty sure, like, if I go to therapy, like, I can't be a therapist, because, like, that would be pretty awkward. But it turns out the people who end up being therapists had a lot of therapy growing up, and they learned, like, firsthand, what it's like to be in that other position. And so from there, psychology became a passion of mine, and I want to be a child psychologist or a therapist growing up, and that's kind of what I'm on the path to doing right now. We'll see how it goes. Life changes within the blink of an eye.
Yeah, for sure. And also, it just kind of shows like how much you've grown in 4 years. Who knows what we're going to be doing in 5 years, Like, who were your role models growing up, and who inspires you now?
Okay, so my unserious answer to that question is Troy Bolton from High School Musical. Still 100% my celebrity crush. I will forever love Zac Efron. But my real answer to the question is my Nana. She is my bestie. We text and call each other all the time. She always sends like the most, precious little paragraphs to me. And she was actually who inspired me to go into, the psychology field. She was a school counselor and then a private practice therapist. And I was like, that is so cool. Like, I just love the way my Nana carries herself. She's so emotionally intelligent. I was like, I want to be like Bobby Jean.
Iconic.
Right? And so I started pursuing that, and I got a lot of advice from her along the way. And she's been super helpful throughout this entire journey. Her number one thing for me is do not be so hard on yourself. Life, changes. She knows firsthand. She is a breast cancer survivor. Her husband, my papa, passed away from cancer. It was just a very sudden change in the family. And so we're always telling ourselves just life changes. Make sure you don't have a direct step-by-step plan. Have a direction to go in and go from there, which I, have definitely been following. I think that's really cool because a lot of people think you have to map out everything in your entire life. And it puts so much pressure on you. But when things happen in the world, such as COVID, even with all like the corona jokes, it just goes to show that like it's better to have a direction and, almost like a backup plan rather than having a step-by-step, like 12-step program to your life.
Do you have anything that you used to believe in and now you kind of don't anymore? Like, how has your kind of beliefs changed over time and things like that?
So when I was younger, I was raised very, very Christian. We grew up in a non-denominational church, but my family grew up kind of being Baptist. So I was raised with those ideals, and I, kind of went along with it. I became like the perfect Christian girl. Again, high school, middle school, elementary school, Emily never wanted to disappoint anyone. So I kind of just went along with what my family believed in and like what my close knit of friends believed in. But I guess I never really questioned anything until I got to college. And that was when I started asking more questions about the Bible, my own beliefs. I started challenging myself more. And I was like, okay, do I believe this because I actually thoroughly believe in God, Jesus, all the things? Or is it because I was told to believe this? And so after I did a lot of, inner reflection, especially during COVID, I was like, I think I still believe in it, but I don't agree with everything in the Bible. I don't agree with all the nicks and crannies of what I learned growing up. So now I'm kind of in this in-between portion where it's like, I believe the foundations of what I was raised with, but all of like the small details I don't agree with. Mm-hmm. And there are some parts of the Bible I personally think are more metaphorical, and I think other parts are outdated, and, obviously I don't agree with everything. So it's like I used to confidently define myself as a Christian, and now that title holds a little bit of guilt with it if I were to define myself as that, because it doesn't seem like I'm as by the book as I used to be, and there's such a negative connotation with people saying they're Christians without, believing every single thing in the Bible. So I guess right now I'm just a person who believes in God, believes in Jesus, and believes that the most important thing in the world is living like they would have on Earth.
Yeah. That's very interesting and definitely a very unique perspective, and I feel like you and I kind of align in similarly in that way, in various senses and everything. And so, like, since kind of realizing that about yourself, have any other beliefs changed? Have you started believing in, like, different things or focused on different things, different passions? Has anything emerged since kind of realizing that about yourself?
100%. So I used to kind of hold myself to a very by-the-book standard, and that meant not expressing very big parts of myself. I remember growing up, I always, felt like I had a liking towards women, but I didn't even think that was allowed. And I remember, like, watching TV shows and having, like, little crushes on girl characters, but I was like, I just really want to be their friend. I was like, I can't marry them because they're a girl, but I just really, really want to be their friend. And growing up, I'm like, oh, maybe, like, that meant more. And I just kept it to myself because the Bible says, it's a sin or whatever, which personally I don't agree with. I think it's based on a mistranslation. But people can believe what they want to believe, and I'll respect that as long as they're respectful towards me. But it wasn't until I got to college where I started meeting other people who had pretty much gone through the exact same thing I did. And I was like, oh, like, maybe this isn't something to be ashamed of. Like, other people have been going through this. And after, telling people I was very close to, I ended up telling more people, and by then I gradually came out. Unfortunately, one of my close friends, told a bunch of people whom I wasn't ready to tell, so I was outed. But I kind of took that and publicly outed myself on Instagram. That was probably the riskiest thing I've ever done at the time. And I, lost a lot of friends from that. It was very difficult, but I also gained so much respect for myself, respect from the peers who, actually matter to me and are still in my life. And I had more of, I'd rather lose people who aren't meant to be in my life than have to live a lie any longer. So that's definitely one of the perspectives that has changed over time.
Yeah, that's a very interesting conversation to bring up. I'm curious, how has, like, your life changed, like, positively and negatively since coming out?
One of them was the friends I did have in high school. I still talk to them, but I didn't for a while after I came out. I did lose a lot of people who were, very close to me, especially my best friend, Taylor, in high school. She's a wonderful girl, very by-the-book Christian, and, although in high school I didn't agree with everything that she believed in, we had that mutual respect for each other where we wouldn't, fight over what we believed in. And I, respect her opinion, but she does think it's a sin, which is totally fine. I'm not going to argue with her beliefs. But that became very difficult, for me because I wanted her to, accept and love me as I am and not think that I was like a charity case friend to work on for her to get a step up in God's mind. So that kind of drew a little bit of tension between us. And after, a while of not talking to her, we did reconnect. We've both grown a lot, and I wish her the best, but I don't think I'll ever be close with her again. Instead, I have gained a lot of friendships with, people who do accept me as I am. Of course, there's going to be people who don't agree with being bisexual or in the LGBTQ plus community, but they do have, the ongoing respect that they won't judge you or shame you for being who you are, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, that's a very mature way to look at that and, things like that. It's a very interesting and very nuanced perspective. So kind of going off, like, gaining friendships and losing friendships and things like that, how can I be a better friend to you? Like, I feel like this is something we don't normally discuss, but I feel like, friendships are very nuanced and complicated, so I'm just curious.
Oh my gosh, that's like a fabulous question, but I honestly, all the qualities you have from yourself and all the characteristics you hold, I wouldn't change a thing. And I'm not just saying that to be, like a kiss up because
you're not just saying it because I'm speaking to you right now, right here.
Exactly. I'm not just saying this because I'm being recorded and this is on the record. But you have been the one to, inspire my confidence. You have been the one to get me out of my comfort zone and love me for my flaws. And I only used to think I was capable of loving myself if, it was the good things about me. The, tight and toned and being perfect. But you've taught me to be okay with the flaws of myself, where I come up short. Like my sleep schedule, for example.
Oh, God.
It's a mess, y'all.
For reference, she is quite literally nocturnal sometimes. Like, I always joke you have the same sleep schedule as my hamster. Because it's so bad.
It's very bad. It's something I definitely need to work on. And instead of shaming me for it, we'll make jokes back and forth about it.
They make fun of you jokingly.
Exactly. But instead of saying, oh, you're terrible, you don't deserve, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Because believe me, people would say that. You're more if you need anything, come to me, let me know. I'm here for you. You always offer to have, those conversations. You even offer hugs, and I love hugs. Carol hugs are my favorite. She gives very great hugs, y'all. And it's just great to know that someone's there for you genuinely, to comfort you and to, just be there for you to lean on. And, although I have multiple flaws, very many flaws, as one does, because they're human.
Everybody does.
Exactly.
It's not
you
just
accept
you at
me
all.
for them. You don't expect me to be perfect, and you love me for who I am. And in return, I now am learning to love myself for who I am, instead of waiting to love myself when I become that perfect person, which is unachievable.
Yeah. And kind of going off that, based off of this perfect person that you have built in your head, how has that impacted you throughout your life? You kind of mentioned it in the way of, not fitting into the mold of the perfect Christian or not fitting into the mold of the perfect this. How has that impacted you?
I grew up with severe anxiety. I was always the kid in school who, a pleasure to teach in class. Teachers would write recommendation notes. They would have parent-teacher conferences just to say that they wished other kids were like me. I never got in trouble. I had a perfect homework record. That's such a nerdy thing to say. Perfect homework record from kindergarten to senior year of high school. I never let myself, make a mistake when it came to conduct or behaving, because my biggest fear was letting people see the unmasked version of me. I remember I very rarely got in trouble. Growing up, I would make sure to be prim and proper, and when I did let my personality shine through, it was more they were shocked that I was quote unquote coming out of my shell, when really it was just my personality. And I remember when I did show my personality more, got my humor kind of matured, and, I was able to display parts of my personality that many people didn't see. It was oh my gosh, you are so different. Some people had positive reactions, some people had negative reactions, but it was I was told, you're a completely different person, which was terrifying, but yet so validating to hear at the same time, because I look back on who I was, and, I refer to her as high school Emily. But that was not the real me. That was more of some masked version I would, show to other people, because I didn't want to be seen as, real. I didn't want to be seen as unfiltered. And, it came into a lot of insecurities of my own. The same as I didn't want, to be seen as unperfect with myself. I didn't want others to see that too, because my biggest fear was people seeing imperfections that I already saw in myself. And now, moving forward with that, through a lot of therapy, self-reflection, conversations, I've been able to embrace those parts of me that I was so scared to, show before. And can that go into a rabbit hole of it can turn into laziness, it can turn into, just a not care attitude. But once you find that good balance of, I don't care what others think, but I still want to make myself proud, you get into that good rhythm, and that's where I'm trying to be right now.
I love that. And I love that, it kind of shows that life isn't it's not linear. It like goes in different directions, and there's so many unexpected twists and turns in life. And yeah, I think that's just an important thing to acknowledge, especially like while we're in college. It's a very transformative time. So yeah, it's been very interesting to get to learn more about that from you.
Exactly.
We don't always have deep conversations in our laundry room in front of a microphone, so it's very insightful.
Yeah, we have our deep conversations in front of the fridge.
Yeah.
This is so new for us.
Yeah, we usually have our deep conversations in the living room when I'm making my sleepy time tea to go to bed and she's making her dinner or making food to like wake up. So It's very, very interesting. So is there any kind of last things you want to say, like final message, whatever, however you want to phrase it?
Well, if I were to give any advice for anyone listening, it is to be true to who you are. You can take that however you want, but I think that if you are lying to yourself or in a position where you are scared of not only others judging you, but, making yourself disappointed for being who you are, screw that. I think you should live your life authentically, embrace the imperfections, and just be who you are.
I love that. And with that, I think we're going to end this conversation, put it to a close, and just thank you for talking to me. And yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
I hope you enjoyed listening to Emily and I's conversation and that you can find some takeaways from her stories and experiences. Thank you for listening and have a great week.